Welcome back to PipeCast on a new filler episode. This episode, Peter Heinrich's Dark Strong Flake. Take a look at that blend.
Alrighty, this is Peter Heinrich's Dark Strong Flake. Now, word of caution, as you'll see in this video, this is from 2020, based on a rating or review on tobaccoreviews.com. As of June 2022, it seems as if this blend has changed. So, again, what we're looking at right now is pre-2022. This is 2020, and I believe this is how it was made since around 2014-ish. So from 14 to 20, this is what you're going to get. So it is it's aged cakes of red Virginia and fire cured dark Kentucky. So here's some of the flakes that have been procured from Zach. This is the dark fired Kentucky, and this is the red Virginia. On this piece right here, you can really see the difference here, where that dark fired Kentucky meets that red Virginia. There's a clear line of delineation there. Then there's one here as well. But you can really see some of the variation of the red leaf kind of poking through right here on this lighter side, and then it's almost pitch black up here in this dark fire Kentucky area. But yeah, that's what it's made up of. Let's get over there and see how it smokes.
Well, that was Peter Heinrich's Dark Strong Flake. Or Dark Strong. Is it just Dark Strong?
I think it's Dark Strong Flake.
Yeah, I think so too. You know what? It doesn't matter. This is pre-2022. This is a 2020 blend, so this blend has been changed apparently in the last year, and I didn't realize it. A lot of these things are happening up under my nose, where Solani Aged Burley was changed. I didn't know about it until we tried to crack open a new tin of that. Dark Strong changed, and I've been smoking Dark Strong for so long. First off, I would have had an opportunity to buy a tin a couple years ago, and I would have just been able to, tin it up, because this is really kind of a pillar of dark fire Kentucky, and just sit on it. I've had a 2020. Who knows? Maybe all those years of me saying like, yeah, there's no reason really to sell or just kind of smoke and enjoy. The last decade, I feel like I've seen some of the greatest tobaccos of all time be taken out.
Yeah.
Someone made a comment the other day. It's like they thought that everything was slowly starting to kind of blend into this whatever, And maybe that changes my opinion about Cornell and Diehl. Maybe that's what you need. It's just a bunch of wild throwing everything you can at the wall. Yeah. And because I noticed that we got a comment about how much we didn't like Cornell and Diehl, and that's not true, right? I don't think it is. I just think that if you're as big as Cornell and Diehl's catalog is, I heard it said like, if you swing for the fences, you have some of the greatest Grand Slams of all time. I'm thinking of Sunset Harbor, Autumn Evening, which I don't like, but I'm just telling you the big ones. Haunted Bookshop, the Pease Library, which Pease did blend, but it's their leaf, so clearly the leaf and quality's there, right?
Yeah.
I like Billy Bud Blonde, at least halfway through. It's kind of magnificent. A lot of people like Pirate Cake. So you have Grand Slams, but like when you're hitting stuff like as far as beautiful and as far as Cornell and Diehl, that means you're going to have the most strikeouts, because you're swinging just completely recklessly. So it's not that I don't like Cornell and Diehl. It's just I recognize that if you're swinging as hard as you can, you're going to have quite a few strikeouts along the way.
Yeah.
But in a way, I appreciate that, because that means that the things that you do produce that are good are really good.
Yeah. Well,
And I'm not like trying to defend the channel or anything like that, or I don't need defense. This is really a lament in the direction of why I think Cornell and Diehl is necessary. Because every time I seem to be returning to these tobaccos that I'm like, well, I'm involved in PipeCast, and I have like the things that I typically smoke during the summer, and then suddenly, we got to come back to this one blend, and all of a sudden, in 2-3 years, this is a 2020, dark strong. That's when this was purchased. It's it's been changed in 2 years. The whole blend's been changed. So all of a sudden, I'm smoking it. I've got a little bit left, but now I'm just like, well, how much? All I've got is what I've got left, and it's gone. And the thing is this was a 200 gram tin that I purchased. So why do I? So I've been smoking on this for a long time, and now I'm down to the bottom. Patrick said that, hey, I've got these flakes you gave me a couple years ago. Let's go ahead and have a filler episode. And now I feel like I'm actually just giving a eulogy.
Yeah. And this is my first. So this is a true filler because this is the first time I've ever smoked dark strong, and that's what you gave me 3 years ago. December of 2020 is when you gave it to me. So yeah, I mean, yeah, because I kind of go back and forth between, because I don't smoke a lot, right? And so but I like the idea of going out and trying all these different blends. However, I've come to realize, I'm bringing in more than I can consume. Even when we buy 110 and split it, or whatever we may do, we may just share some like this. In this case, you gave me this little bit here. It's like I'm taking in more than I can possibly consume. And so then I started thinking, well, I'll just take it easy and get some stuff here or there. But now it's kind of like maybe there's a reason to kind of hoard all this, hoard little samples of all this, because it's going to change. But I do want to go back though to what you were saying about the Cornell and Diehl thing. I think I've always been a fan of Cornell and Diehl because of their Grand Slams, right? So I think really the only critique that I think we ever do, or at least I ever do, of Cornell and Diehl is just that if I was a blending house, I would rather be a McBaron HH line, and that be my only thing, versus a Cornell and Diehl type line. So that's the only thing I've ever said, is that for me personally, I would rather have, I might not have all the Grand Slams, but I get on base every time,
Right. Yeah.
I got six guys that can get on base every time, and I'd be more happy with that than
Right.
all.
But that's a personal. That's almost your personality.
Yeah. So that's my So when I critique Cornell and Diehl, it's from that angle. It's not necessarily to say they're a bad company, because I've always been a fan of them. I've always wanted them to do well. It's just that the philosophy of their company doesn't align with what I would do. So naturally, there's going to be critique there, and criticism. But it's not that I don't like them.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we've got several recommendations of these. I call them like Cornell and Diehl bulk blend, kind of. They're the ones that they really don't have much of tin art. They just kind of, you can get some of them in a tin, but they do offer them in bulk. And that's like, we've got a lot of recommendations for Pegasus, Byzantium, Morley's Best, Havana Daydream. So like, you got all these ones that kind of, I think people like, but apparently they're not good enough to get some crazy good tin art.
Well, I mean, it's funny because like we're going to use these as jumping off points for pipe chat. And when Patrick contacted me to do this, I thought we were actually going to do one of those as opposed to doing the 2 filler episodes, which is kind of funny because like I've had to shift gears, and then I almost had I was thinking on something so much. I don't want to ruin it, but I was thinking on what I was going to talk about. There's been a lot of that was on my mind about one particular topic, and then I jumped into this episode knowing that we weren't going to do pipe chat, and then like it's you could tell like kind of the way my mind was working with in the process of pipe chat that I got like where I was lamenting Dark Strong. You can hear like some of you probably can't hear it, but like I'm definitely more charged because I was thinking of something that is on my mind a lot.
Yeah.
So now knowing that Dark Strong's going away, this is kind of a sneak peek. I was thinking of something else that had kind of gone away.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now it's like now I'm just like, well, crap. I was just thinking about this whole thing, and then you move to Dark Strong, and it's just like, well, there's something else that's gone too. Dadgummit. I think we were going to use Byzantium, and that was going to be. We're going to give you like a little sneak preview of a pipe chat. But we were going to talk about, and the reason why I wanted to use Byzantium is because the Byzantine Empire was a breakaway from the Roman Empire, and then something that sort of dissolved as well. It was conquested, and then won back, and then conquested again, and then plague. And the point of that is that kind of had that remnant of the old empire, still in Turkey, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where Constantine set everything up. Well, what I've been thinking about lately, because that was just sort of a little historical context, but I've been thinking about the South a lot and the old South versus today. And the old South ain't as long ago as you'd think. But we'll get into that at a pipe chat, I think, about kind of the South of yesteryear.
Yeah. But I guess getting to Peter Heinrich, this being my first impression, like I've said before, I've never really had a blend where Dark Fire Kentucky is the primary factor. Most of the time, if I'm smoking a blend that has it in it, it's just a side piece. It's just there helping out. It's not the main show. Normally, it's either Virginia or Burley. Maybe even sometimes like an Oriental leaf, right? But this, like immediately, I felt it. Like it's like I felt the nerves in my gums and cheek kind of just sting, kind of a little bit. Like they're more attuned to what's happening here. It's a lot more. I mean, it's got some sweetness because of that Virginia, but that there's a spice on here that's a lot different than what you get with Perique, or what you may get sometimes the sourness from a vapor. But there's some spice happening here, and it's interesting because it has that earthy quality of a Burley, naturally because Kentucky starts out as Burley, but it's got that burliness that's grounding it in like this woody, earthy, nutty, whatever. But that Dark Fire is just like, man, it's kind of incredible. But like, I'm kind of cautious with it because like I'm already kind of feeling it in places where that's normally where you feel the early onset of like a nicotine thing. Even though I don't think that's what this is necessarily, but it's got me on guard. But and it's burning nice and cool. My pipe's not getting real hot with it. And it probably I could have dried it out a little bit longer. I didn't do a fold and stuff. I rubbed it out and then filled it up. So, I think as I get into the bowl, it may kind of work with me a little bit more. But it seems to be doing fine right now. I am curious how this does differ from what the new one is. Kind of like what we said with Solani.
They were saying that there was like maybe a pullback on the licorice, maybe a new topping like a plum. They were saying that a couple of things I think said that they didn't think the Dark Fire was even present.
And I thought I saw something where it felt like the red Virginia got swapped with bright. Or they used more bright than they did red as opposed to the old. So.
Well, yeah, that's a bummer. This is going to be a pillar episode. I'm kind of like distraught. It can't be a pillar if you can't get it going forward. I mean, I mean, it was a pillar. It was a pillar. This was what I would tell people to smoke if they were going to smoke dark fired Kentucky. Because it's got a good helping of red Virginia. It's got a licorice topping, which enhances the dark fired. So, as Patrick mentioned, it's got a sweetness that is overwhelmingly spicy, but in a good way. It's got an interesting mouthfeel. It's also a punishing tobacco because if you over smoke it, it'll chap them lips and it'll light up that tongue. I mean, this thing has got some tongue bite on it, but if you're soft with it, if you're sweet with it, I mean, it is the most. I'll come back and it's kind of like real spicy wings, but they got that good flavor. You want to keep eating them.
Yeah.
And you learn to kind of tolerate some of that punishment, but at the same time, how to mitigate it a little bit through cadence and rhythm. This is a really great tobacco. Well, it was a really great tobacco to learn off of. And if you wanted to learn something about how you smoke, cadence, and how a tobacco can be tamed in a certain way, this is about as close as you can get to taming a horse in the pipe community. Because I think the tobacco is a little bit more romantic than I probably want it to be, but it's wild and beautiful. But you can rein it in with patience and just like consistency.
Well, I was gonna say the first few puffs, I got something, and I didn't get it again until just now as I slowed it down and kind of sipped it. And there's something to it that I can't put my finger on it, but it reminds me of like flavored like cigarillos from like college. Like there's
Yeah.
something there kind of hidden in there that just brings me back to that, and it's real subtle, and it kind of an apricot is thing happening here. I don't know if that's just the way the licorice is playing with the dark fired, but kind of something that's citrusy in that realm. But um,
I mean, it's just all around really good.
I think.
Actually,
Oh, sorry.
I'm about. No, you're fine, dude. I'm just getting misty over here because it's gone. I just can't believe it. Why would you make decisions like this? I, this isn't like some sort of everyone has Peter Heinrich's Dark Strong all the time, no problem. No, it's always sold out. It's always in demand. It's always difficult to find. What is going on?
Well, and that's kind of what I was. Maybe I didn't articulate it well enough when we were reviewing Solani, but I think it holds true here. You know, I just don't know. Like, so let's get down to it. Why would you change a blend? Like, what would push someone to change a blend? Well, probably, most likely, um, the you're the supplies. You can't get the supplies that you used to, right? Something has changed to where it's become more difficult to create the blend. So you have to change it so that you can continue to put it out. And so with like Solani and with Peter Heinrich being blends that you already have such a hard time getting, I'm thinking that there ain't no way they did it just to do it. There has to be a reason. And I'm thinking it's probably due to some kind of supply and demand chain issue thing where they're like, we just can't operate like this. I would be hard pressed to think that it would be um like a venture capitalist, not venture capitalist, but like a greed thing where they're trying to cut cost and raise profits. Can't be that. I mean, it could be,
Well,
but I
I mean,
doubt
you could be. I mean, you hope it's not. I mean, I don't know. Man, what a weird time to be alive. I mean, I can't believe it. I mean, the thing hadn't changed. It was apparently changed in 2022. And that's so funny because, you're busy with kids and stuff. I'm not paying attention to the tobacco industry too much. I purchase as I need to and I read as I need to. And this isn't the end of the world, folks. I mean, Le Bermuse, Pure Samois is some of the best tobacco you can get. And it's one tobacco. I don't even think there's a topping on it. Bone dry. And it's so good. But I can't. This kind of took the wind out of my sails a little bit because I really did read about it before we got on this.
Yeah, I didn't mean to put a dampen on the evening by picking it up.
No, no, no. It's not damn. It's just like you just 7 years. I mean, like I think the last time it was changed was like 2014, 2015. They just kind of maybe adjusted a little bit, but that's what I smoked. I didn't smoke anything previous to 2015 for sure. So that's all I've smoked is the Peter Heinrichs of that particular era. For the last 7 or so years. And why would you change it? I mean, golly, man, because that just makes me be like, well, if I like it, I mean, like, it just seems like I'm just out of luck. Maybe I need to just buy a bunch of that cobblestone brick and just hoard it, just hoard the crap out of it, because you're not going to be able to get Aberrant. We've kind of discussed that. Okay, it's a limited release and it's difficult to get. You're not going to. So Dark Strong's off the table. Solani Aged Burley's off the table. I mean, is this where we're at now? Is that they're forcing you? I mean, is this kind of where the old timers are coming from? I mean, there are more tobaccos that have gone off the market than there probably are today. Now, I know that we're living in the sort of pipe tobacco renaissance, but I mean, if you look at all the old stuff that have gone away, stuff that was like considered some of the greatest tobacco of all time, and in a time where tobacco was graded and could be auctioned in pallets that you could check the grade. I mean, it's the reason why we lost the wonderful McClellan is because the grading system had gone away.
Well,
So, I mean, like, you kind of wonder if these older folks are cellaring out of a kind of an extinction crisis,
well, didn't whatever happened with that FDA thing where blends after what 07 or 09 or something like that, they were gonna, just because of what was going to happen with all the hoops that they had to jump, some blends were going to go away. Did that ever happen?
Who knows? I mean, new blends are coming out all the time.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, I guess that.
Not only are new blends coming out, but like, I don't know, man. How do you regulate new blends coming out of Europe?
Exactly. But, I mean,
does it count? Does importation count? Does it not count?
Who knows? But one thing we probably need to try, and I don't even know if this is a regularly released blend, but I know McBaron in the HH line had an HH Rustica that I never tried. That could be similar to Aberrant, but like I said, I don't know. I don't think it's regularly available like the other HHs are.
I think I know where to get it at.
Really, I need to get it and try some.
The old brick and mortar, I think, has a 10 of it.
Well, you might not. You either want to get it and try it, or you either don't, because you may get it and like it, and then realize that they don't make it anymore.
Yeah, it's another one of those. But the thing is like if I smoke it for the first time under the impression, like Aberrant, I smoked it. It's upsetting, but it's not Dark Strong upsetting.
Because you've lived with Dark Strong for so long.
Yeah, I've lived with Dark Strong for so long. I just assumed it was always going to be there. Then they take it away from you, and that's when you get upset about it. Aberrant, it's like you smoked it. It's like, this is really great. It's sad that you're taking it away. I'm frustrated in as much as smoking something good has a tendency to be a rarity sometimes, when you're like, wow, it's really good. It's really what I would smoke. And it's been stripped from me, because I'm being precious. I mean, I'm not one. Another thing too is I think it goes against my character to hoard and to cellar. I think you can cellar a couple of 10s, but I think that what you're getting out of a 5-year, 10-year wait versus smoking something when you purchase it, it's there. But I mean, like, really and truly, what the testament to me of a good tobacco is, I bought it, I smoked it once I've got it to that right moisture consistency, and it's good. And that's the way Dark Strong is. Dark Strong is you purchase it, you open the tin, you smoke it, after you've rubbed it out and got it to where you want it, and it's good to go as soon as you purchase it. There's no need to cellar it. Yeah, sure, maybe you'll get some age quality that someone else could experience if they sat on it for 5 years. You don't need to. It's not important. But then I find myself not wanting to age aberrant, but wanting to preserve it because it's like, well, once I open that last tin, it's gone for good.
Yeah.
Well, maybe this is just what it's like getting older as a pipe smoker. It's just, you sort of see things that you used to like fade away.
Yeah. And it's not a position you want to be in, regardless of whatever it may be.
Well, I mean, I remember in let's say 2006 is when I really started smoking a pipe pretty heavily, and it felt like the internet was still an elusive creature. So like you got what you got at brick and mortars, and there was in the brick and mortars that I smoked in, Cornell and Diehl was of no consequence. It was no big deal. What you had your Scandinavian tobacco group tobaccos. So people who were allegiant to old Dunhill and Peterson blends, right? These recipes have been sold from Murray's or whatever, and they were there. And that's what the people lit your cells up and sent you on your merry way with. And they were good. They were your Samuel Godwiths and your Godwiths. But if you were beginning, you wouldn't have tested that out because it would have been Lakeland would have been too scary in a sense, You could always get Margate. So as a esoterica blend, I'd always smoked Margate. It was never something that was just like so highly sought after that you couldn't find it. So I had smoked Margate before I knew that esoterica was the hardest thing in the world to find, and I went on my like white whale hunts,
Yeah.
But then, so I say all that to say this, because the staple of every brick and mortar that I had been in were McClellan. I mean, Cornell and Diehl was like 4 or 5 tins. Haunted Bookshop was like the thing I saw the most, and I smoked it because of the name, and because I smoked so much McClellan, I could care less about Haunted Bookshop. Haunted Bookshop was inconsequential to me. Anything that Cornell and Diehl was producing was inconsequential because all I was interested in was smoking all the McClellan Virginia, specifically, they had a Christmas blend that came out every year, and it was their Select Virginia, and it was delicious. And I bought a tin every year. Yeah. Now, if I'd have thought back, I'd have bought 20 tins every year. You know what I mean? And now McClellan's gone. All I have is memory. And now we're in this position where Dark Strong's gone, and all I have is this memory. Now, some might say, well, Dark Strong isn't gone. But if I smoke it, knowing that it's completely different from this and I can taste the difference, then I would ask, well, is Balkan Sobrani really gone to an old timer? And they'll say, yeah, it's really gone. This is the Germain and Sons Balkan Sobrani is not Balkan Sobrani that I grew up on.
Yeah.
It just carries a name and it's a cheap imitation. That's what I would probably assume.
Yeah. But now, granted, if we get a hold of Solani and Peter Heinrich, the new versions, and I mean, it's going to be hard because we know there is a difference. But if you can't pick out a difference, then no harm, no foul, I guess.
That's true. But everything I'm reading says there's a huge difference.
Yeah, yeah. At least with Peter Heinrich, I haven't read enough.
Solani, I haven't seen so much argument about Solani.
Yeah.
It's different, but it's not bad.
Yeah.
People are saying that Peter Heinrich's so different that it's not even the same tobacco blend.
That's ridiculous.
I mean, if you're saying that you've stripped out Dark Strong, you've added in a fruit topping, and you've ripped away the licorice. I mean, when I say Dark Strong, I mean Dark Fired. If you've taken the Dark Fire and then you've replaced the Red Virginia with Bright, I mean, that ain't even the same. That's not even the same.
I mean, yeah. I mean, if you take away any of the component leaves alone, that's not even the same blend.
Mm-mm.
If you change the topping, in my opinion, that's not the same blend. So I mean, if you
Yeah,
do
the
any,
topping is supposed to. I mean, the topping is really supposed to narrow it in to kind of keep it consistent across different blends, and all of a sudden you're just changing it all up for what?
again, I go back to it. I hope that it's just, I don't know why, but like I would hope it's an effort to get it to keep it somewhat consistent as best they can with limited supply. I would hope, but if they're making those drastic changes, it doesn't seem to be the case then. But that's what I would hope, though.
Right? Yeah, same.
I think it's
Doesn't
probably.
seem like a
I don't know. I don't know, man. But this is
yeah.
good. This old Peter Heinrich is pretty good. Um,
Yeah, I mean, this is a downer episode, dude. It's a bummer. I
oh
feel like
well.
I'm looking off in the distance more so than I'm looking at you because I'm so frustrated.
It's a blow. I mean, for you. I mean, you know, this being my
I mean,
first.
just imagine you smoked it. You said you like it, right?
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Okay, now smoke it for 5 years and then find out that it's gone forever. I mean, it'd be rough.
I mean, it's kind of
You're in a very aberrant state of mind right now, which is sort of
okay.
the best position to be in. You know, where it's like, well, it's good, but I mean, I ain't got too much to be in a tizzy about because I found out about it after it was gone,
Yeah, I guess for
so to
me,
speak. So to speak. I'm trying to be. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I feel like that's probably where you might be at.
I think that's accurate. I think for me though, this the closest that this would be is if they decided to pull either stop making artisans blend or completely change artisans blend. Like that's kind of how
Mhm.
this would be for me. As much as nightcap is close, it that I would always still want artisan blend. And if they got rid of it, then that's how I would feel like that. I've been smoking it. I've been smoking that blend. I guess it was one of the first Englishes I smoked. Um, when you got me into it, so it was in 2020, early 2020. No, wait, early 2019. So
Yeah,
I've been
I mean, you've been smoking it for a good almost 5 years.
yeah. So yeah, if something happened to that, so yeah, I know how you're feeling, or I would know if that were to be the case. Um, Hopefully, people out there who like Peter Heinrich Dark Strong have cellared up on it and
Yeah.
have a good bit of it.
Yeah, I mean, I hope people have it, and I hope they can enjoy it, and don't worry for me. I mean, I had my dance with it. Now I guess the dance is sort of coming to its conclusion, but yeah, it's just weird, man. I just don't see the point in some of this stuff. And the thing is it's different to change it to blend because you can't get components to try to keep it consistent, but to change the whole thing up, that's just an odd thing to do.
I would almost rather it just discontinue than just change and keep the same name. If you can't keep up with whatever the components were, and that blend's time is up.
Right. I can't remember what blending house does Peter Heinrich. Is it Orlick? I know Orlick has a strong Kentucky or some blend, and I know it's similar because I've smoked it.
Yeah,
It's hard to get, but I smoked it. And
well, I think
so
I thought I heard, maybe I'm wrong, that they Orlick stopped making their Dark Strong.
well then it's all stupid
But it could be the
if
same
that's the
thing
case.
as maybe they got rid of it because they ran out of components to make it. I don't know. Um,
Well, you run out of Red Virginia, you run out of licorice, run out of Dark Strong. I mean, that's or Dark Fire Kentucky. That's within the realm of the blend. I mean, you could try to like sugar top it or just try to keep it all balanced in. I mean, good lord. I mean, we're not talking about like dark strong Syrian. I mean,
yeah, I could be wrong. They may, or maybe maybe Orlick's Dark Strong may have just went off the market for a little while. I think for I don't, something happened with it. I don't remember what it was, but I'm not sure who blends Peter Heinrich. Is it? Is it?
Well,
Hmm. See, now I'm curious. What other blends have they done this to?
well, I wouldn't. I mean, if you guys know, leave it in the comment of something that you've lost in terms of pipe tobacco. I don't want to. I mean, everyone's experienced, I'm sure, some sort of loss. I bet you we'll see a lot of McClellan blends in there. Of course, I don't want to make this like some sad salute to lost tobaccos. I mean, I suppose we could actually do a video on things that are gone for good, you know? Um, but what are you going to do?
I mean, it's kind of like when everybody thought Dunhill was going to be gone, and then it kind of was for what, half a year, and then
Yeah, it felt like it was a really, really long time. And I guess that was just legal precedent. Scandinavia was trying to figure out how to. But I
yeah,
mean, luckily the recipe, the blending, all that stayed the same. And everyone in the end, came out on top.
yeah, yeah,
Because I could care less that it says. I mean, I've got aperitif and it still says Dunhill on it. I could care less that it says Dunhill. I could care less just in general. But like, I mean, if it just went from Peter to Orlick, that'd be fine or what. I mean, this is just gone. Sounds like.
yeah. May have to do a little bit more digging, to kind of see what's going on. But yeah, this was a little bit of a downer, but hey,
Hey, we're not going to say all the episodes are going to be positive. I mean, you heard a lot, but you heard a lot from someone who's lived with something for a while. And this is one of those ones where, um, this was one of those blends where, um, I mean, I remember Eldridge Pipes was the one that really turned me on to it. I
oh
think.
really? I didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure, yeah. I'm pretty sure it was Eldridge that turned me on to it first. And, head gum, dude. That is frustrating.
I wonder what it. I'd like to get on there and see what he thinks about it,
Yeah.
about the change. But
Well, I mean, like I said, luckily, like I said, there's lots of things that you can smoke. There's a lots of great blends out there, so it's not, don't ever be too discouraged. For every one that we lose, there are some good ones, but this is one of those ones I think that just sort of, I think this probably wouldn't have stung as much if I hadn't already lost Solani. So basically, I'm finding out about these things within weeks of one another, and that's what's probably killing me. It's like, well, crap.
yeah, I was not expecting it. Kind of, because I probably read the same thing you did before we got on here and recorded. It was this one guy's review where he reviewed it in like '07, and then there was an edit, and then there was another edit, and it was like, what? And
Yeah.
I was just like, what is going on with these blends? But it is what it is. Well, who knows?
Yeah. Well, I mean, to sign off, I guess. I mean, keep on puffing, guys. If you have alternatives, we'd love to hear about it. I mean, I like this blend, so this is going to be hard to replace.
And
I'm not always in the mood for dark fired Kentucky, but when I am, this is usually what I reach for. So,
yeah. Well, we got.
I just that gum looking for it the other day too. That's what's so aggravating. I was just looking for it the other day, but I'm still completely clueless to a blend change.
That would have been crazy if you had gotten it and still didn't know the blend change.
Well,
and then
because what would have been is it had been sitting there. Two things would have happened. One's really bad. One's not so bad. One is I probably wouldn't have opened it, and I would have been smoking on this other stuff. Then I'd have read, based trying to get prepped for this review, and I'd literally stopped in the middle of the episode, ran in and grabbed it, and lit it up to do a wild on the fly comparison.
Yeah.
And then you would have really saw a breakdown. because I probably would have thrown a 10 across the yard.
Unless there was unless it tasted the same.
Well, that's that would be the ups. The only upside would be I don't taste the difference.
Yeah, but I was gonna say though, I think we have 3 more dark fired ish blends between now and the end of Burley Boy Summer. We have Peterson Irish Flake,
Mm-hmm.
and then the 2 HH brothers, Old Dark Fired and Bold Kentucky. So I haven't had any of those 3, so it'll be interesting to kind of compare them to this and see how they roll. Have you had? I mean, I think
I've had all of them,
Oh, you've had all of them. Yeah. Okay.
but I'm gonna have to find a replacement, and it'll be interesting to see maybe if my palate's changed. Maybe one of them's better, you know. But I feel like that the other ones are more savory than they are sweet, and this is a sweet one. And something about me that maybe people don't know is there was definitely a few years where I was really on a licorice kick.
Yeah.
So this really did kind of sate that licorice obsession I had.
This and Solani.
Yep. I mean, licorice really does do something to a tobacco, I think.
See, I'm not the biggest licorice fan in terms of licorice candy, but I like licorice flavoring on tobacco. I think
Right.
it really,
Well, I like both.
yeah.
I like
Uh,
salt licorice too, which is a Swedish delicacy, which makes most people want to throw up. So licorice really is good for me. I like it. I obsessively like it.
yeah.
Licorice is kind of like the licorice candy, the salt kind. I mean, it's like either you're that type of person and it's in your blood, or it's not.
Yeah. I'm not the biggest fan, which I thought I would like it a little bit more because I feel like people who like salted licorice candy are the same people who like black coffee, but I don't. I guess that's not the case because I like black coffee, but I don't like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a mixed bag. I think that I don't necessarily need a sweet coffee, but I'm not opposed to a sweet coffee. But I
Yeah.
do like to break up coffee with just half and half.
Yeah.
I think what cream, there are things that just add to something. And
Yeah.
there's nothing, I mean, it's kind of like a weird mixed bag. Like, I have a cup of coffee every morning before I go to the gym, and it's black.
Yeah.
Um, but if I'm at home and I'm not going to the gym, I'll put half and half or a creamer in it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm kind of like when in terms of like the ritual of coffee, I like black coffee. But you know, if me and Ann are out and about, we'll get like a iced sweet coffee or something or
Hmm.
something like that. So I like them, but like as far as like the daily ritual, and especially with a pipe, I wanted black. But
Hmm.
but I always thought, I like dark chocolate, so I like the bitter things, and I always thought
Yeah.
that salted licorice was a little bit bitter, but it was just a little too out there for me. But I don't necessarily think I hated it, but it was
Right.
like
Well,
oh
you're the one that turned me on to cold brew coffee.
yeah,
It's a
and
real game changer.
I didn't even know that. Like I didn't know that I turned you on to it. I remember our conversation, but I didn't know that you liked it after that.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it twice or something. As a matter of fact, you actually said, I'm surprised I did that because I'm so negative.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
I think you had a whole conversation about that where you said I would have never brought that up to you because me saying that something is good is almost, you were saying it, and this is true at a time where when someone brings something up to me, I'm like, oh, really?
you take it
Like,
as a.
almost like it's a challenge. Yeah, and that's not a good way to be, but like sometimes I am like that.
But though I will say though it's funny because I don't know how to articulate this because I'm just now kind of thinking about it. But most of the time, I I guess I got like Pavlov dog like um, I got Pavloved into um, like knowing that about you. Like when we first met, you were kind of like, oh, you took it as a challenge. So that today, if I do decide to bring something up, I kind of want to see that. I want to see where you go with it. But
Mm-hmm.
you also mellowed in a well, you either mellowed one or more likely, we've become more of a friends and you don't want to hurt my feelings. So you kind of, you baby it. You baby the subject. And so sometimes I'm kind of like, I, I'm like, I want the gloves to come off sometimes.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it could be a mixed bag. I mean, I do think I've mellowed more in my older age
Yeah.
towards things, and by that I mean that I don't. There are things that I don't like, but I don't come out and give like they're used to, and this is insufferable. It's kind of embarrassing to talk about it, but like,